Welcome everyone to Plastic Arts Podcast, the show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev extraordinaire, and Shaggy impersonator, Gavin Jones. Gavin, how are you doing?
Getting there. I'm doing good.
Yep.
I just realized how big. So you don't see it on your Google Doc, with the news stories, but I see it automatically breaks it down into chunks, and there is a lot of chunks this week. So
There's
I think
a lot
we may have to
going
go
on.
quickly on this. Yeah,
Well,
which is crazy because most of it happened in the last day.
Often that's how it goes. Like beginning of the week is really where they just start dropping bombs, and nothing over the weekend.
Yeah.
Would you play anything? How'd you fare this last week?
Mainly just watched a lot of movies. For some reason, I played a little bit of Heavy Bullets, which is fun. Apparently, I played some Nuclear Throne. Oh, I played some Receiver 2, some more of that.
Yep.
And then Darkwood. I got into Darkwood, and then I got to the second area, and I realized I may need to restart my game because I think I've fucked myself.
Aye.
So I don't. To be fair, because I looked at a guide of how to get. I couldn't figure out how to get to the second area. I had a feeling I knew how to do it, but I was too scared to do it without looking it up. Which I should have done it and then got there on my own because I could have. But I was too scared, so I looked up a guide, and basically the guide said, "This is all the things you should have done by now." And because I've used up all the resources in the area, I can't do that. So
dang.
I went to level 2 with barely any upgrades, and now I'm fucked. So looks like I'm restarting.
Gotcha. I hate that. Yeah,
but
nice.
it was cool. I really like the game. It's terrifying.
Now that's Receiver 2, or that's the last one you just mentioned?
Darkwood. That's
Gotcha.
the 2D top-down kind of weird, spooky game.
Oh, yes, you told me about this.
Yeah, survival horror. It's intense.
Nice.
What have you been playing?
Not a whole lot. I did jump into this game called Cloudpunk, which you might see on Steam. It's been online, shared around a little bit.
No, I saw it on Steam. It was trending in the up and coming for a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's very moody. It's super sci-fi and cyberpunkish. You're driving this taxi around, and the story's super heavy. So it's that's really what's engaging you. The movement's fine. It's kind of, you got to get used to this floaty nature of your taxi you're picking up or doing jobs rather. It's not like Crazy Taxi or anything, but
right.
And it's all voxels.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful voxels too, just the way they built this entire city. It's super dope. You can change these not dimensions or platforms rather, with how you drive your taxi. You can go to the bottom of the city to the top, much like Fifth Element. It's super dope how you can just kind of change levels, and it's really cool.
Nice. Heck yeah. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and it runs on my laptop, surprisingly. A little bit of smoke here and there, but otherwise it runs.
A little bit of smoke.
Yeah, just fan it off.
Nice.
It adds to the atmosphere and the experience of this thing bursting into flames. Right. But
those people that go get a little, I shouldn't say too into D&D. They get really into D&D, and they have smoke machines going and the sound effect cues.
Whoa. That might be cool to see a live event, and I'm sure they do that, or they used to do that with Critical Role or something like that. You see these people that are well known, see them live do a D&D thing.
Yeah, Critical Role does a really good job. The Penny Arcade guys, during PAX, they'll have their big live Dungeons and Dragons things, and that's really crazy. One of the ones that surprised me, I don't know if you mentioned Critical Role. I don't know how much of you've seen of them. You watched Daredevil, right?
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, the girl that's their friend, the reporter gal. She's been on their stuff, and I've seen her do DM, and she is fucking fantastic at it. It's just so impressive.
She could read the phone book and I would be fully engaged. Whatever she does, I'm on board and I will help fund it. Right. Whatever she needs, bills paid, let me know. I'll try and figure something out. Yeah, she's awesome. I didn't play a lot of games. I did watch, as I told you the day, I finally jumped into watching Alex footage, Half-Life Alex. And I stopped before any crazy spoilery stuff happened, but man, is that game fucking beautiful. And even just watching, you're not in there, you're just watching the 2D. It was IGN did a gameplay walkthrough, and still you can tell the animations are just, they have this different caliber to them. Seeing some of the movement and the other characters, it's nuts, man. I can't wait. I've got to play that game. It's crazy awesome. But yeah,
Yeah, it looks neat. It's definitely weird. I mean, it's like a full, what is this, 2 generations
Yeah,
after the last one came out, so
it gives me
pretty
really hope.
strange.
It gives me hope that they will knock it out of the park, whatever they do with that Half-Life universe. You know what? It's always easy to go like, oh, this would work well in VR and this thing, but watching them play Half-Life Alyx, that world is very dingy and like I guess sort of post-apocalyptic in the way that you're investigating like the parts of Half-Life, the city, but like something like Last of Us would work amazing in that. You could really stick to the whole like close quarters combat. You could make it slow. You could make it intense if you were in that VR space.
Well, so kind of in that same vein, there's that Walking Dead VR game that's supposedly phenomenal, and you can
Mm,
do close quarters combat. You can, I want to say, you can beat like a zombie to death with the butt of your gun. You can really do all that stuff, and apparently, yeah, it just works fantastic.
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I got a cell kidney, maybe two. I don't know if you really need both kidneys, but I got to play that. Now you can put something in there, put a potato in there, and I don't know if your body knows the difference, and you can just kind of keep
Yeah.
trucking along.
I wouldn't try it for your liver, but we'll do the kidneys at least.
Yeah, I need that. Need that for sure. Well,
I'll
Gavin,
get
yeah,
the I'll get the tub full of ice ready.
nice. As you mentioned, yeah, a bunch of stuff popped off in the streets. So let's go into it. I just mentioned Last of Us 2, a little tidbit about Last of Us 2. It went gold. And one of the things, I'll kind of, the actual story, you can go to Kotaku. Steven Totilo has the details. But there was just more info on that leak that happened last weekend. It was a terrible leak. There's actual like story stuff that actually leaked from it. But the rumor, the scuttlebutt was that it was like a disgruntled employee. They were kind of protesting crunch, but really it was hackers. Hackers able to infiltrate Naughty Dog servers, and they're the ones who released the whole thing. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm trying
and
to read
it's
this article saying the hacker group discovered a method for accessing Amazon servers for Naughty Dog's games using what was essentially password information.
yeah. Apparently, how they load whatever they load on Amazon, as far as like I don't know if it's just like trailer stuff or placeholder stuff, they were able to infiltrate their entire system through that. There was this user Pixelbutt that laid all the all the details and how they did it. So thanks to Pixelbutt, but I guess they blocked off that entry point, so now it's totally fixed. But
Hmm.
yeah, so hopefully we can avoid spoilers for another month or two here. We can experience it. But yeah, it went gold. They announced that on Monday morning, so it's actually being printed on discs. We're getting
Mhm.
closer to playing this game.
We'll see how big that day one patch is.
Yeah.
It's,
That's true. That's I know they mentioned
although,
like
think about it, you're gonna need it.
yeah,
You know.
it's supposed to ship on 2 discs. You know what? And that might be why there was a lot of issues too. And I didn't realize that because this game's so huge physically, it's on 2 discs. That's a huge undertaking to actually print those. And then if you're already dealing with like Corona stuff on top of that, it's like that's a game you really can't. You need both discs unless you include a thumb drive or something with it. But
It's so mind blowing to me too when you think about like back when these Blu-rays first came out, and I know these are like high capacity Blu-rays now,
right,
but when Blu-rays first came out, people didn't know what to do with the capacity. Like my one of my favorite games, Darkness, they didn't know what to do with all that capacity, so they put the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird
right,
in the game, and you could watch it on a TV. Or they put like hours of, I want to say, cartoons in
yeah.
there that you could watch on local TV. So it's weird that we've gone from we don't know what to do with all this to oh shit.
Yeah. No, they're really just hurting for space. But yeah, and then also they're gonna drop a new trailer tomorrow, which I don't think we need, really. It's like, hey, just we have enough. If you're not on board for Last of Us already, I don't know what they're gonna show you. Just like I really don't think we need another trailer, but it's
Yeah.
me personally. But yeah, and then so yesterday was Star Wars Day was May the 4th. So we got a bunch of Star Wars stuff I thought was pretty cool. Taika Waititi, we just talked about him, how he can not, he can't do any wrong. He can knock it out of the park. He's gonna helm a new Star Wars
Did
movie.
we talk about him because of this or
No, because they announced this on Monday. So we
okay,
were just talking about how dope he is, and sure enough,
right.
yeah. There's also a new show on Disney Plus that's Star Wars related with Netflix series creator Russian Doll, which I never watched that show, but apparently Russian Doll is really dope.
Dude, it's good. And here's the thing I'll say about it.
Yeah,
Because towards the end it gets complicated. I would describe it, the complication of where they go with the plot is kind of similar to like how complicated the ends of the Matrix was, like the third one, or kind of how complicated the end of BioShock was, where
Mm.
it's very weird, but she actually made it work.
Yeah.
And fuck, it was just a good show. And also the two main protagonists just doing a fantastic job. It's a really good show. I highly recommend it. Or movie, I guess. Yeah, it's a movie. It's not a show. Is it
Oh,
a show?
gotcha.
Is it a movie?
I'm not
What the
sure.
fuck is it?
It's a yeah, it's a no clips. It's something because I know it's a. Is it episodic? Do you actually go from episode to episode, or it's just like an extended movie kind of thing?
See, I want to now say that it was a TV show, which only had like 3 episodes, but I could be wrong. It felt long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking phenomenal.
Nice. Nice.
So
So,
I'll trust her on that. I'm more excited for Tika in this case, though. But
yeah.
I'm also I feel weird about like A, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but B, it's just I doubt he's getting Star Wars 10, 11, 12 or anything like that.
True.
Can we get another really good side story like Rogue One? To me, Rogue One is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite Star Wars movie. And I know that's probably what's the word where people
Controversial
don't like
or
it.
the internet is what it's called.
Yeah, I know. I
No,
know the internet probably wouldn't like that, but yeah, Rogue One's like my favorite Star Wars movie. So
I would agree
I
with you. I
know
mean,
the
Rogue
bear
One
in
was
mind, I
really cool.
originals forever. But I think it was nice because it carved out its own niche. So I'd like to see him carve out his own niche.
Yep, yep. I think that's where Star Wars will shine, letting them explore all these different stories that maybe have nothing to do with it, but you can. There's so much lore there. You can just kind of build your own story that has no effect, but it's still a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also we got Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So this is happening. It's arriving later this year. It's for Xbox One, Switch, every console thing known to man. But it's all 9 Skywalker Saga films. But it's like a remake of all the other Lego games. I originally thought they're just packing them all together, but they're like redoing it with a new engine. It's like a newer experience.
If I remember the original announcement correctly, it's like, and they're not like remakes of the original games. They're just straight up new games that cover all of them, if I recall correctly,
Yeah.
which is insane. You literally made these games once and you've redesigned and made something wholly new. That's crazy. So, but
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars games really do no wrong. They're not hurting anyone, and a lot of children like them. So,
Right. Right. And they sell really well. It's like, yeah, go for it. But that seems like a huge undertaking. So kudos to them. And then I'm not sure if you got to try Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order yet, but there's a bunch of DLC they announced, newer like cosmetic stuff and challenge rooms and that kind of thing that's free.
hey, there you go.
I think it is on
Fans of
sale.
that game. Well, if my computer could run it.
Yeah, that might be. It's kind of a high end kind of thing going on, so I'm not sure, but maybe on the potato settings you could play it. We'll see. Well, there's definitely this is a really good summer we're shaping up into. We got some news from Jeff Keighley. He announced Summerfest or Summer Game Fest. So the actual details are from Your Gamer. Matt Wells writes, Jeff Keighley has unveiled the Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long all-digital consumer celebration of video games featuring breaking news, in-game events, free playable content from the likes of, and this is where the list gets nuts. So it's CD Projekt Red's on board, Sony, Microsoft, Riot Games, Digital Extremes, Valve, more than that as well. WB is going to be there. The digital event is scheduled to run from May through August this year. And so there's just another reiteration on who's there. 2K, Riot Games, Warner Brothers. So it's going to be nuts. It seems like, because it was in the news a couple months ago, he left the whole working with E3 before they canceled it to do his own thing. And this is what he was working on.
I think this sounds exciting. I think 4 months is too long.
Why do you think that?
It's 4 fucking months. Like pack it all in there. Give us something to be excited about. 4 months is at that point we get announcements all the time. At that point, it's not an event.
True, but I do, devil's advocate, I do like the idea of, with E3 is all jam-packed into really 3 hardcore days where all these announcements are popping off, but now you have a summer 3 months of just cool, neat announcements. Maybe they get more breathing room, and you can kind of, I don't know, just maybe it's just happier news along the way, especially in this time. Like it's something to just keep us looking forward to. But you're right, it is a lot, and they spread it out. Maybe they lose some of that hype by extending the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't see any Nintendo in there, which will be
Yeah.
Interesting. But it is new. It's unproven. Nintendo tends to be slow to adapt,
Yeah.
or adopt. I don't know which one's more appropriate in this situation.
That's like a Fonzieism there.
Is it?
I'm rubbing off on it. Yeah. Um, well,
Rub
Nintendo.
off on me all day. Um,
And I
no,
will.
yeah, it's interesting. It's still to me like, and as far as like a like all digital consumer celebration, what does that really mean?
Yeah.
And this comes back to me still wondering, like, for Microsoft's E3 plans. That's why I said, like, if they could do that whole streaming thing and you could demo these games through a streaming service, um,
Yep.
I think you could do like absolutely do a digital E3 where people just stream these and skip the lines and do all this stuff live.
Yeah, 100%.
But
One of the
you
rumors,
know,
it's not tied to this exactly, but it's a rumored thing that Sony's working on for PS5 is that they'll have in the marketplace demos, and it depends on developers supporting it, but demos so you can just jump in and play right then and there and jump out back into the marketplace. That's kind of related to this, where if you can stream this platform where you can see the demos as they announce them, but I guess Sony's working on that. I don't know if that's legit or we'll see that day in day one with like PS5, but apparently that technology is to be thrown around there.
I assume it's not that big of a stretch from what they're already doing with PlayStation Now,
Sure.
and I'm sure Microsoft's going to be there very, very soon if they're not already there and just trying to amp it up to as many people as they could host on it. Um, yeah, that seems very doable to me. I think people are going to like that a lot more, especially with all these SSDs. We're going to be entering this world of no downtime, right?
Yep.
No load times, barely any queue times because we have we're cross-platform matchmaking now. It's so might as well reduce the friction on that, and I really think that's going to change the convention game. If E3 wasn't in trouble before, that's going to change it.
Oh
But,
yeah, it's funny. It's all stuff that Stadia wanted to do that really they haven't done yet. It's like the whole like jump in, try a game as someone's playing it or
yeah,
streaming it. It's like that's what they kind of talked about originally, and everyone else is really just taking that whole idea and actually hopefully implementing it soon. And Stadia is still holding their lunch, and
right.
and outside of the classroom, it's like what are they doing over there?
Well, and that's what I really liked, like way back in the day, like 7, 8 years ago, and I still feel like it worked pretty well. Do you remember On Live at all?
Yep, I never tried it, but yeah, I remember
So
that.
yeah, that was one of the original. I played it. It actually worked shockingly good, at a very low resolution. But yeah, that was one of the neat things is you just hop into the game instantly. Like usually be, I think one of the cool things they do is they'd have a little bit of footage of the game, some little cool like clips or maybe somebody else playing. And so while the game is loading up, which again was very quick, it'd actually be playing that. And so you're seeing cool stuff and you're right into the action. Or you like it initially would show just a big wall of all these people playing. So you could just click on that wall and pop in and watch somebody play.
Yeah,
So this seems very, very similar. And how neat would that be to be doing that with E3 games or whatever convention is going to be taking its place?
yep, yep. I can't wait, man. It's really awesome. Not exactly tied to this, but keeping in line with these new announcements and getting ready for the summer. Cyberpunk tweeted today this image of Night City Wire and June 11th tagged to it as well. So hopefully we'll see some gameplay, something really. We haven't seen anything legit from Cyberpunk for a while now. So it'd be cool to see the open world gameplay going.
Goodness. I just realized how close June is to right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're a month
And
away. It's happening. It's all happening. It's the summer of
see if I can.
games coming up.
I was going to look up the Kaijun, which is this buddy on Twitter who drew. It's like a kaiju, but it's literally him just going, "What have I done with my year?" And it's the Kaijun.
Gotcha.
Um,
We're like the end of
that's
the years,
coming
and
up.
yeah, yeah. So now in some new next gen sort of news, we got news on a new Call of Duty. Apparently, it's still down the line. Next premium Call of Duty still scheduled for 2020 release. This is Matt Kim of IGN. Activision Blizzard's new chief operating officer and president, Daniel Allegri, spoke with investors today to share Activision's Q1 22 results. Speaking about Call of Duty Warzone support for PS5 or Xbox One X or Series X rather, Allegri also confirmed that the quote is, as soon as these new systems are out and available, I'm sure we'll support them. So some news on, actually just transitioning your existing, Warzone to the next gen consoles. Also, Allegra
Right.
said two titles, quote, based on library IP from Activision are in development. This could potentially mean games like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro. Activision did not confirm what these titles are, so there's a space for speculation. But also tied into that announcement was there's a Call of Duty 2020 coming out this season and still on board to launch this fall. So I wonder if they're going to be kind of crowded with Warzone. You got Modern Warfare still supported, and now another mainline Call of Duty. I wonder if that's going to conflict or people are just like, yes, take my money.
It's tough to say. I mean, there's a lot of people playing this. Also, I have a guess that his name is pronounced Allegory.
Could
That
be.
is my guess.
I feel like I'm right.
But
I've shown that I'm an expert on how to pronounce things, so I'm going to trust my gut on
You
this one.
pronounced it Allegra. You changed the final E into an A.
Is he not a prescription pill you buy online? It's not Allegra? Okay.
Huh?
Hey, you know what? We can agree
Watch
to
me be
disagree.
wrong.
Yeah. Allegri is really some kind of like offensive term in another language or something.
I mean, it sounds like allegory, but
Right. Now, with that, tied to that news of them working on two new games that are based on library IP, so things they own, like titles they own. Now the whole like rumor mill is what are they working on? This was announced today too, and sort of tied to that. It's an Activision property technically. So this is a quote here, a little blurb. According to pro skater Jason Dill, a new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater will launch in 2020. Dill also claims he spoke with EA about Skate last year. Excuse me. Activision still owns the IP, still owns the rights to it, whether Tony Hawk is involved or not. But I wonder if that's one of the games they're working on. I would really hope they keep that franchise alive, bring it back to life, really, because that last one was dog shit. But this is me just hoping that that's the next IP they're working on.
I mean, if they can remember how to run a studio again, because I hear, I heard from the people, I knew people that were friends with people that worked there. There was an absolute train wreck, and the fact that when they were like, "Oh, we're launching next month," and they're like, "What?"
Dang.
So yeah, if they can figure out how to run a studio, then that's exciting. But currently, it sounds like they don't know how.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it is also like when you look at Call of Duty, it kind of reminds me of a time in gaming that almost doesn't exist anymore. You look at one of the fun things in Call of Duty was unlocking all these characters and skins and stuff, and now that is de facto something you pay extra for.
Right.
And there's just so much content packed into those games. So
I wouldn't mind if hopefully this new Call of Duty that's releasing for 2020, if it's maybe more single player focused, maybe that's where they will kind of not split the market, but do their single player stuff and then keep that whole games as a service thing alive with Modern Warfare or with Warzone rather, because that's a huge blowout success. So you keep people there, but you also have a separate single player thing going on. Maybe that's how you not like overload that whole like genre right there.
I would at least like with Warzone or whatever that's what the Battle Royale mode is called, right?
Yeah.
So with the previous Battle Royale mode that they made, so that came out with Black Ops, and that was basically the game, and it also had regular multiplayer too.
Yeah.
But it's not in any other game. So with Warfare, right? You could buy the game, the regular game, and then like, oh, Warfare came out. Now I just have Warfare. Or maybe you had Warfare and then you bought the game, and now they're one and the same. So I would like for the next game, for like you boot it up and you still have Warfare in there. It's good to go. I don't need to boot up a second game. It almost sounds like its own launcher, but I don't know. It's just more component based. It's more of a module, and I think that could work really well, and that wouldn't bleed off or split the community.
That's true. You next gen, you could theorize like you just download the new Call of Duty experience, and that's where you buy this new single player. You buy this new multiplayer mode, but it's all within Call of Duty. You boot that one thing up, and then that's how you splinter off into whatever experience you want. But that's how you keep people there potentially, or you just release these different experiences. I'm not sure. I'm sure they're looking into it, but yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
Nice. Well,
I'd be curious to see if it's doable. I think it is. It could potentially be. It'd be interesting to see how that changes other stuff in the industry.
Yeah. Well, speaking of changing things, Gavin, let's move on to Microsoft's reveal event. This is Thursday, so this is I'm pretty stoked for this. So the actual details are from Tom Warren, and also mixing into this is the boot up screen, which they showed off today, or the sound rather. So Microsoft reveals Xbox Series X boot screen, confirms July event for Halo Infinite and more. Gotcha. So in a teaser today, in a teaser video for Thursday, May 7th's Xbox Series X gameplay event, Microsoft subtly reveals the Series X boot animation and sound. So I'm gonna cue this up too. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but
I'm already ahead of you. I'm
gotcha,
watching.
gotcha. Get your ears ready. It's interesting. It's definitely
Slower than
like
I'd like.
mm, it's loud. See, to me, it seems louder than I would like actually. So I'm
Oh.
listening to it
Huh.
now. It's going. I just think of at midnight when I'm like trying to sneakily play my Xbox, and then like in the past, it's always this like boom pow kind of thing going on, and I forget the volumes up and I run to like turn it down. This one seems maybe more subtle, but still like it's gonna wake up everyone in my house. But
Subtle until it's not. You have a
right,
moment to. Now I'm watching this evolution of Xbox boot video.
gotcha. Yeah, there's a whole rabbit hole you can do. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, so that event is this Thursday where they're going to show off gameplay and stuff from third party studios. So to go back to that article here, alongside boot screens, Microsoft is promising to reveal more about its Xbox Game Studios titles over the summer. In July, this is a quote: "In July, we will dedicate time and focus on the incredible games coming out of Xbox Game Studios," explains Jared West, head of gaming marketing at Microsoft. Despite warnings of possible game delays for the Series X, Microsoft says our goals remain to launch Xbox Series X and Halo Infinite this holiday. Microsoft will now hold monthly Xbox 2020 streams in the lead up to the Series X launch. These start with an event on Thursday where Microsoft plans to highlight third-party Xbox Series games and more info on smart delivery. So the Xbox Smart Delivery program allows you to buy an Xbox version of a game and get the upgrade to the Xbox Series X version free of charge. So far, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which we'll get into, and Cyberpunk 2077 will support smart delivery. But yeah, so they're going to kind of explain more about the smart delivery thing. Looks like you buy one title, it unlocks some kind of upgrade version of it. But yeah, so there's more news coming up this week.
That's whew.
Yeah.
That's going to be more news. I think the thing that's going to be really important for this. So, watching that Digital Foundry thing where they break down how they upgraded Gears of War 5 from Xbox One X to the next gen console, right? And saying all the changes. And if you look really closely at all these little details that they can pack in that they couldn't before. It's definitely going to be very important to watch this on the highest resolution you can. If you can watch this in 4K, you need to watch it in 4K because I think the details are going to be so packed into the screen now that really you're not even going to be able to tell. Like if you watch this on the phone, you're not going to be able to fucking tell it. If I watch this on my 1080p monitor, I'm going to have a hard time telling. You're going to need to be watching it on those 4K screens to really get the most out of this.
Well, now 4K is really obtainable as far as like consumer level. Like it's as just like we waited for like 1080p to become approachable, like buyable. And now it is for 4K. Like you can buy a 4K monitor or TV rather, $300. You can get like a 30-inch, like, and then it goes up from there. Like it's now doable on a consumer level. Yeah.
I think my roommate got one, like a nice one, on sale for I think he said like 200.
Yeah.
So he saw it. He's like, "Well, I gotta." Now I gotta find a sale on these sons of guns.
Right.
That's the
yeah. So I mean,
but when do they put those curved LED screens on sale though? Those are
dope. Ooh. Those are very dope. Yeah, you can kind of make your own if you sort of like with a heat gun, kind of like bend it. But I don't know if I recommend trying that. Yeah, and also in Xbox news, I assumed this was already a thing, but so Halo 2 Anniversary arrives on PC as part of the Halo Master Chief Collection on May 12th. I thought it was already on there. So what is on the Master Chief Collection for PC? Is it just Reach right now? Like what's there?
Reach, ODST, 1. I think that might be it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's good news.
I can't remember whether Reach came first or ODST. Yeah, definitely 1 is on there.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's good news for them. I feel like it's on the console version, but that's also why I was so borked when they launched it. It was hard to get everything working together, and now they took a different approach with PC, making sure each one works before they release it.
So, question for you then with Halo, because you were huge into Halo back in the day.
Yeah.
All our friends were. I was only mildly into it, but I was also the only one without an Xbox. Which is your favorite?
My favorite is Dang. The first one really caught me as far as like because it was a new thing and experiencing the story for the first time, seeing the flood, it really just blew me away. Then that's right when I got my original Xbox too. So it has a special place in my heart. The hype for Halo 2 is always burned in my brain because that was just such a huge release. So maybe Halo 2 with actually like meeting with people playing online, playing together, with like not split screen but like System Link, whatever the fuck it was called. Seems like so long ago. But so yeah, one or
Yeah,
two.
hang up in there.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yep. One definitely has a special
good
place,
time.
but like the launch of two, I can't forget it because like that was maybe one of the only games I actually stayed in line overnight to like wait for a copy of the disc. Back when we did that.
I mean, that was like of all those games, that was like one of the quintessential
Yeah.
games. Although I recognize that it took an interesting twist with like the newest Smash Brothers was a fun one because I guess people they had the previous Smash Brothers on their 3DSs, so
Nice.
everyone was like tournamenting on the way to get the new Smash. But yeah, I think two was mine as well. But again, I never had it. I never played through. But for me, who's basically exclusively playing multiplayer at other people's houses, I really really liked the gameplay of one. It
Yeah.
was very simple, and that was strength. And then two managed to add content without being too much content. It added mechanics, and it just felt like the promise of one had been met
Mm.
with two, and that I think two is my favorite. That being said, I didn't three have like the like Mario Kart style power ups. I really like
It
that one.
did. I actually really dug three too. Like that one also, I really loved because I was tied to that Xbox. It wasn't a launch Xbox 360, but that's also when I upgraded to that next gen console. And you're playing Halo 3 on a next gen console. Like that also holds a special place in my mind too. But
Yeah.
you mentioned like the simple gameplay with Halo 1. I really hope that they lean more into that because it's kind of a market where every game has like this hero shooter kind of aspect with this speedy gameplay and all this stuff going nuts, or it's like battle royale. I feel like they can create their own space by going back to like classic Halo gameplay. I don't know if that's competitive with other shooters now, but like if you create something that's more unique in bare bones Halo.
See, and I don't trust them to do that because I remember like 343 or whatever they're called. Like there was a point where Halo, Call of Duty took the lead over Halo, and so they started copying Call of Duty. They started adding the sprint. They
Right.
started adding classes. Classes are a big thing. They added. I remember that was one thing back before Ninja took off into the stratosphere with Fortnite. I remember watching him play. I can't remember what he was playing, but he was talking about Halo because originally he was a pro Halo player.
Okay.
That's how he got originally famous. And he says that's one of his big frustrations is Halo is no longer really Halo. It's more Call of Duty ish mostly now.
Right.
But if they went back to that, no sprinting, 100% no aim down sights unless you're using like a sniper or a battle rifle or something with a scope. Sort of like what do I want to call those rules? Like I mean it's classic rules
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And I think it could really do good. I don't think Halo 2 had aim down sights.
No, I think that was more
Yeah,
like
there's
even I think Reach was maybe the first one. I think they even skipped like that wasn't a thing till Reach. I don't think three had it, but it's possible. But yeah,
I think you're right.
the
Yeah.
influence of Call of Duty and other shooters at that time was super heavy, and they changed. They had to, I guess they had to compete. They had to be as fresh as these new shooters, but you lose some of
Right.
that that specialness, and so maybe now as the series that has really waned with like five was like critically or like I guess just commercially not received as well. Maybe you go back to that classic Halo style.
Yeah. And I think there is a middle ground too. Like I
Yeah,
maybe not having a sprint, but just speeding up the overall run because you do move fucking slow in those games.
yeah,
But yeah, I think there's a happy middle ground and kind of carve out Halo because as I've said before, I think like the combat rhythm of you and somebody else duking it out to the death in Halo is one of the best rhythms in
yep.
games, and so it'd be good to see one of the kings back on top.
I agree.
We all love.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, with this, not this Thursday event, but they're gonna have their own separate like first party Juggernaut event where they show off more gameplay and stuff. And apparently, it's still on the books to release this holiday season as far as Halo Infinite goes. So we'll see what happens there. Now we got Assassin's
Man,
Creed.
that's
So what'd you think of this
Assassin's Creed.
Valhalla?
Good shit. Couldn't give a shit, but I know people are excited. I know
Yeah.
people are excited.
They are. The kids are excited in the
Oh,
streets. I also like am. I respect what they've done, and they've kind of turned the whole franchise around. But I just it doesn't do it for me. But I can see how huge it is now. But apparently this new reiteration or like the next series is going to be pretty dope. So I pulled up the article here from Heather Wald of Games Radar. She has the details here. The first cinematic trailer for Ubisoft's next Assassin's Creed entry titled Valhalla debuted last week. With a first look at the Viking action, we also learned that Valhalla is set in both Norway and England, but for the majority of the journey as Eivor, you'll be in the UK, spread across 4 different kingdoms in the 9th century, and you'll be able to explore major cities such as London, Winchester, and York. We've learned a wealth of information about Valhalla over the past week, with confirmation that you'll be able to play as a man or a woman. It is being worked on by 15 different studios. It is set to release holiday 2020 on Series X and PS5. The first gameplay of Valhalla is set to be shown during the upcoming Xbox Series X stream, where we'll also be seeing other global developers showcase gameplay on the next-gen console. So we'll see some gameplay of this. I'm stoked to just see like how this looks, but yeah, whether they screw it up or do an awesome job, I guess it doesn't really affect me either way.
sounds like you said it's being developed by 15 different studios.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, worked on.
Yeah, worked on.
Okay, so I'd be curious to know what that means. How much of that mean? When they say studios, do they mean
I think within Ubisoft, right? Because they have a bunch of different, like Montreal, they have like all these different like spread out developers that are under their umbrella. So maybe they're just like spreading out the workload. It's that massive of a game this time around.
it could be. I would assume some of that means contractors, because that's
Mm,
one of the things that, from my understanding, the developers of Dark Souls at Software does really well, and that's how they push these games out way faster than anyone should be able to for the amount of art in them. Is they just contract out a lot of music. Well, I don't know about music, but art and animation stuff like that, and get that back. So I could see
gotcha.
that being a big thing in this. Are we gonna watch the trailer for this? I
Yeah.
haven't actually seen this.
Yeah, let's check it
All
out.
right, let me know when you're gonna hit play.
Gotcha. And I have it queued up here, and it is launching. It's live. I got the
We're
logo
live.
going. Now it is a cinematic, story trailer, but still, I guess it gives us an
All right.
idea of what we're going to experience there. But the Viking stuff is always dope. I really am into it, so I like that they're going this route.
Yeah. It is. I'd be curious to see. So when Assassin's Creed, not Origins, but was the last one that was set in like Greece or whatever.
There's Odyssey.
Yeah, Odyssey. So that to me felt extremely different than any other Assassin's Creed. It almost didn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game, for what I was seeing. So I'll be curious to see if they go more towards that style of gameplay,
Yeah,
which if this is more combat heavy, it definitely could be, or if they go back to the more traditional style of Assassin's Creed game. That being said, this doesn't look like an Assassin's Creed game whatsoever, and I have no idea how this is going to tie together.
yeah. I like that it's a kind of a different experience, but it seems even more. I guess there's aspects of like older Assassin's Creed with just like the where it takes place, like separate from the Viking stuff, the whole like old, UK, places. Like I feel like that's just reminds me of like older Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I know they've mentioned some of the gameplay elements, like building not a community, but like a camp where you can kind of have people together and stuff you do in the story affects your camp. So there's maybe a little bit of like Red Dead kind of influence where you have your group kind of thing, but apparently that's in the game as well.
There you go.
I don't know if the ships they're showing means it's like ship to ship combat like in Black Sails. There was a little bit of that in Odyssey, so maybe that kind of continues on here.
Right. I don't really know how much ship to ship combat you can even do with this type of ship.
Sure, yeah. Also, the Vikings would
Yeah,
just they would just crash your ship into it like another ship. Like they didn't give a fuck. They were
right.
brutal.
Yeah, this doesn't. To me, this looks less like Assassin's Creed and more like there was that one game that was it Ubisoft made it, where you're all a bunch of different warriors from different centuries and you all fight each other to the
Oh,
death.
yeah, For Honor.
Yeah, For Honor. This looks like For Honor to me.
Sure. It definitely has like Witcher vibes, for me, like just I guess the how they look and that kind of thing, and the set design or the character design. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot
yeah,
of
the
this.
music. I think the music is what gives me the Witcher vibes.
Mm, yeah, some of these characters look pretty badass. Like the main dude. If I could rock the braided beard, I would totally do that.
Merlin? Is that Merlin under the tree?
And you got the bird too, so that's like a classic thing with Assassin's Creed. You have your like overview. They did that in Odyssey. They did that in Origins. Also, we're gonna see next gen footage of this, so it'd be cool to see this.
Oh, is this next gen then? I
Well,
mean,
it's on
doesn't
yeah, it's
surprise
on every
anybody.
platform, but it's also going to be supported on next gen. And that reveal event on with Xbox that they're having Thursday, they're going to show off gameplay on a Series X.
See, this makes me think it's going to be more like Odyssey because he's fighting this big badass looking boss character.
Yeah,
He's got way too much HP, way too much oof. Oh, he has the hidden blade.
yep.
Okay.
Damn. Yeah, so there's definitely
Because
that
they
whole.
didn't even have that in Odyssey, did they?
I didn't play enough to know. I just played the beginning, but you might have been able to upgrade and do that. But yeah, pretty dope. So we're gonna see this pretty soon here. Yeah, I wonder if you're right. I'm in the same boat where it's like I'm never like waiting to hear the next Assassin's Creed, but I like the way they've taken this whole franchise and they've kind of reinvigorated it by changing all the things, and they take their time now developing it.
Yeah.
It's not a buggy mess like the other ones were.
Yeah.
Now you
I
wrote
hear.
you wrote some secret message here about Predator Hunting Grounds, motherfucker. So have you played this? Are you
All
watching
right.
more footage?
So I've been watching a lot of footage, and the interesting thing, I remember, like, I kind of read a review from Destructoid, and it sort of seemed like it kind of summed up the community's feelings about it. Is it's not quite there yet,
Hmm.
but it could be, and so they gave it like a 6. And that was basically their closing statements. It's not there yet. I'm gonna keep playing it. I think it could get there. And apparently, the first patch it made some serious strides. So I remember you had some strong feelings when this game was first announced. You were not about it at all.
Yeah, I guess I love the Predator movies. I don't like this type of gameplay. That's really where I turn sour on it. I just don't like the whole whether it's there's another game like this was like 5 versus 1 that was like you were fighting a monster. There's other games that have been like this, Evolved, or say like the same developers.
Oh, yeah, the same developers did Friday the 13th,
Right.
which was a similar case of there's a lot of premise or a lot of promise, not quite there.
Yeah, and so that's why it's like I'm just not a fan of that gameplay, but I love Predator, and I've watched footage where it's super brutal, just like Predator. I don't know if they're balancing the right aspects of being Predator versus being a human. I don't know how being a human would be as fun. I don't know if they've actually been able to balance that correctly. But I like the idea, but I don't know if I like how they've approached it here. But
Yeah. Well, it definitely at the start, and that was the issue. They kind of balanced it kind of wrong because normally in these games, if you're the one player versus the five, you're usually very strong, and it has to take the whole team to take you down or outwit you or whatever the goal may be.
yeah,
And the Predator isn't very powerful in this. So I'd be watching, like, there was a streamer who would never lose against a Predator, basically. So
really,
um, yeah, so he'd be chasing him down with a knife, put his gun away. He'd only use his gun if they were too far away and he needed to make him bleed so he could track him down.
oh,
And then he'd get up in their face and knife them, because if you knife them at the same time that they strike you, you parry them, so you just undo their move basically. So he was winning basically 100% of the time against predators. They only had one predator build that could really kill people, and that was the like barbarian combi stick build. So it's
oh,
the super cheesy build that people can't beat, and that's the only way to win as a predator, which is bullshit. You shouldn't have to play like an asshole uh, to win the game, and that's basically the only way to do it at this point. So they put out their first patch, and they finally balanced it way more in favor of the predator. It still takes a lot of skill to defeat the humans as a predator, which is kind of cool. That's the power fantasy of being a predator. They
right,
go to Earth and hunt these humans. It's like a tribal right, I want to say. So you have
yeah,
to be good at what you do. So it's interesting to see them make a huge swing on their first try, and I think it has potential. It's definitely fun to watch.
right.
Um,
Yeah, and that's the risk
so
that I thought going in. It's like, how do you balance being a predator versus the humans? I mean, you definitely want predator to be when you're playing him to be super powerful, but if you're just the humans, then you're just getting shot up and killed instantly. So it's like, how do you create that balance. It's such a powerful character versus just regular ass humans. Unless they're all Arnold or something, it's like how are you going to really, compete against them? But yeah, no, I'm hoping it shows promise. I'm hoping they keep updating the game and maybe twisting the mechanics a little bit and finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and that's sort of the concern is I don't know how much there is to add. And to a certain extent, I feel like Friday the 13th had that as well. Like you've got the character, and I think they can probably add a decent amount of stuff to the Predator, but what are you going to add to the players really? Like is adding new guns going to be that fun? I assume a new level could be fun. I definitely think one of the interesting things from the gameplay is when the Predator starts out, he has no idea where the humans are in this giant jungle and where their objective is. So
Okay.
oftentimes they'll try and playing stealthy and not reveal themselves at the start of the game and taking out enemies stealthily until eventually they have to use their gun, and all of a sudden the Predator knows where they are and can track them down. So
Right.
it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely surprises me how not buggy it is. Now it's got queue time issues and some getting into game issues,
Mm.
but Friday the 13th was an absolute buggy mess.
Yeah.
So
Now, wasn't Friday the 13th? Wasn't it funded? It was like crowdfunded, right? I feel like originally, maybe this is like a different take because I didn't see any kind of crowdfunding talk with this one. They just kind of announced that they're working and they had footage already. But I don't know if they've just have more money now so they can work on all the bugs and stuff going on.
it could be, and in which case, kind of good for them. You see
Yeah.
so many people that they kickstart every project they do. At one point, you're not kickstarted anymore. You
Right.
never.
Yeah, you don't want
So
to abuse that community or go to the well too often. It's like when you don't have to, it's going to burn people out. Well, Gavin, our next thing here isn't very good news. I know you're a huge Evo fan. So Evo 2020 was canceled, of course, due to the coronavirus stuff going on. So Matt Kim of IGN has a little blurb here. Evo, the world's biggest video game tournament, has announced that it will be canceling the 2020 event due to COVID-19. All tickets for Evo 2020 will be refunded, and there will be a summer online event planned as a replacement. In a short message on Twitter, Evo organizers announced that this year's event, originally set to take place from July 21st to August 2nd at the Mandalay Bay Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, has been canceled. Yeah, Gavin, how do you feel about this? There was a lot that they were kind of building towards.
sad.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where they had to plan. I mean, I'm pretty sure they start planning Evo as soon as the previous one shuts down.
Sure.
It's sad that they were bringing back Marvel for this one. But yeah, there's so much money and stuff that goes into this. So many people booking tons and tons and tons of hotels. Um,
Yep.
yeah, they just had to cancel early. If there was any chance of canceling, they had to do it early. So it's sad, but I guess this is the closest I get to a taste of what sports fans are going through right now.
Yeah, they're saying like, hey, grab my beer. There's definitely the same stuff going on. Although this is taking place in Vegas, and I'm a huge UFC fan. They're actually having a UFC this weekend. Although it's going to be no attendees, just the actual fighters and the refs and stuff. But it's not this is not Nevada. It's in like Florida. But they are trying to have some kind of event. Apparently, it's going to go through. It's going to be this weekend. So.
That's gonna be strange too, because I told you I watched that like WWF or WWE
Yeah.
where they had no crowd, and it felt wrong.
Right.
So that UFC fight's probably gonna feel real wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely strange. I mean, I can imagine like there's no crowd, supporting people or just yelling and screaming. So you're just hearing the actual fights, the coaches, the people on each side, each team. Maybe it feel like eerily too personal, or I wonder how it's gonna actually pan out. But it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I know they have the
I think it's gonna take out some of the event in it being a sports event,
sure.
if you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah, I know the NFL had their draft was it last week or so, so they're still the gears in motion to, and I imagine when they actually come back, it'll just still be something that's with no crowd, no attendees, but like they're still planning to do some kind of event come fall time. So we'll see. I mean, the world is slowly starting to get back to normal, but I don't know if it's soon, enough this summer to see stuff or like fall. I just don't know. We're in a weird spot.
We'll see. I'm hoping by July, but we'll see.
Yep. Now, Gavin, we got this one. This was just interesting to me. So it's Epic adds PS5 and Xbox Series X support to Unreal Engine. This is Jay Peters of TheVerge.com. Epic Games' Unreal Engine game development platform now supports Microsoft's Series X and Sony's PS5. Epic announced today the support comes as part of the newest Unreal Engine release, version 4.25. The update also includes productive, ready support for Microsoft HoloLens 2 mixed reality headset, enhancements to Unreal Engine's chaos physics and destruction system, shading model improvements, improved audio features, and more. This one's interesting to me, so that theoretically they're getting ready to support next gen, so that, because really Fortnite's in a weird spot, because you have your next gen consoles. Ideally, you want that to be ready to go, so that to give consumers way more of a reason to adopt early on, because they can they can now just jump ship and get that next gen console.
I mean, I have a feeling when they say now supports, I have a feeling like they probably booted it up and were like, oh, it works right out the gate. Because it's such a universal thing. Like, you can run Unreal Engine games on your phone. You can run them on Switch. People have done it. So I'm sure it probably wasn't very hard. The Coalition talked about getting Gears of War 5 to run on Xbox Series X, and they said it was super easy, and I'm sure that may have been an unmodified version of Unreal. That being said, if you're going to give anyone access to these dev kits super early, Epic's definitely one of those people, so they can do Unreal Engine stuff on it. So
yep.
I'm sure it's probably actually had Unreal Engine support for a while. This is just the first everyone's getting updates for it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I also think that it's not crazy to think that we will see some kind of Fortnite presence there next gen, because I feel like that's the next juggernaut to make sure it's got to be there when your system launches. Just like a sports game, just like a shooter, you want to have that Fortnite support.
I thought I did hear some rumors about, it says Unreal Engine's chaos physics and destruction. Yeah, I heard there were some enhancements coming, so I'd be curious to see what goes on with there. How there's some destructible environments in Cyberpunk, so maybe we get some more enhanced. Well, I don't know if that's actually running on.
Yeah, I'm not
Unreal.
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe their own proprietary thing. I doubt it. But yeah, so that's happening. Now, this one was interesting to me because I felt like it was a personal attack. So this was a petition to change PlayStation Plus's May 2020 offerings gets signed by thousands. I don't know if you heard some of this drama unfold. This was mid last week. Brianna Reeves, PlayStationLifestyle.net, has the details. Last week, Sony unveiled the PlayStation Plus offerings for May 2020. To the dismay of many PS Plus subscriber, the freebies included two different simulation titles, City Skylines and Farming Simulator 19. Wanting to convince Sony to change this month's elections, one PlayStation enthusiast launched a Change.org petition. At the time of writing, nearly 17,000 people have signed the petition. According to the petition's post, the PlayStation gamers were incredibly hyped by the previously rumored May 2020 PS Plus offerings of, there we go again, of Dark Souls Remastered and Dying Light. Following Sony's reveal of the true free games for May, PlayStation faithful were left dumbfounded and forlorn with what seems like a late April Fool's joke in the form of Farming Simulator 19 and some ripoff of SimCity, reads the post. Yeah, Gavin, so PlayStation gamers were angry that the PlayStation Plus free games of the month were SimCity, were City Skylines and Farming Simulator. They felt cheapened for some reason with those free games, but you know me, I love City Skylines, so I thought, hey, this is awesome. But they did not feel that way.
I don't mean to belittle it, but that's only 17,000 people.
Yeah, and also petition. Come on, everyone signs a petition every day.
That's dumb. And it also, I think, kind of undercuts. City Skylines is incredibly popular.
Yeah,
people love it. Like, a lot of times, it does well in these situations. People get hype about it. As weird as it is, people get hype about Farming Simulator. So, yeah, it's not these people's cup of tea.
Right.
It just, to me, seems almost, and I don't know if I'm using this term correctly, it almost seems gatekeepery to me, right? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, Dark Souls Remastered and Dying Light, those are real games. But you see Skylines and Farming Sim, those aren't real games.
100% is what's going on. Yep, you're right. And it's bullshit, because if you've actually played City Skylines, and maybe they're not into Sims, I get it, but it's a super dope game, and it's definitely an actual cool game to get for free. And granted, these are free games you get with PlayStation Plus, so it's like, what are we crying about?
Yeah, I mean, getting Dark Souls Remastered and Dying Light for free, like, that's a fucking steal right there.
Yeah, And I guess that's what they're
So
hoping, because that was the rumor, and that's I guess why it soured everyone's expectations, because they were expecting that based on a rumor, and we got these two Sims. But
man, I need to finish Dying Light. Like people at work have been talking about it. Like it keeps like every time it comes up, and it's still supported to this day. Like what a phenomenal game. I need to beat that before the next second one comes out.
Yep. Yeah, they just announced, I want to say it was last week, this like new DLC. There's a weird cabinet, like arcade cabinet, that unlocks whatever new levels, and it's a whole like different add-on thing. But yeah, they're still supporting it. Yeah, it's a great game.
I'll see streamers regularly playing through the game like multiplayer with like tons of. It seems like it feels like a lot of people in the game. I don't know how many people are actually in their game, but yeah, it's too strange.
Gotcha. Yeah, so this is interesting. So this is a new MLK or MK11 DLC incoming. This is tomorrow. So the Mortal Kombat account on Twitter tweeted this video out, and interested to get your take. I know you're somewhat familiar with the whole lore with Mortal Kombat, with what's going on story wise. I never did,
Sure.
because yeah, I never understood what the hell was going on, different dimensions and timelines and stuff. But I have this little intro, this little video queued rather. And I wonder, yeah, is this more DLC? Is this what the hell's going on? But it's a tweet. That's the link that I sent you.
NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah, and so it shows. I'm not sure the characters they're showing, because I know very little about what's going on. But and this looks like it takes place after the storyline of MK11, right?
Yep.
You beat the time lady.
So when you play through the arcade modes, whoever you beat it as actually gets his power, which is neat. So as a story mode, I think you have to end on Liu Kang having that power. But yeah, arcade mode, anybody can have that power, and they can basically recreate the world kind of how they want.
Gotcha. So yeah, the reveal is for tomorrow at 6 a.m. So we'll see. I imagine DLC, because I don't think there's been a lot of characters already, but like they seem to support, like they did with MKX, a lot of character support afterwards. So yeah.
That to me though looked like story DLC.
Yeah, that's true, because they kind of tease characters differently.
I don't know that they've ever done story DLC. I want to look at these shadows here real quick.
Yeah, so the characters that pop on screen at the end, I have no idea who they would be.
Well, the one on the far right, I mean that from a distance they all look like generic Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah. Do you think they could just be like legacy characters you get to unlock? But you're right, this does seem like more story-based stuff.
Yeah, those could be legacy characters.
But I think the way they roll it out makes me think this is an actual expansion, some actual story stuff to jump into. And it says MK11, the epic saga continues. So I think this would be story stuff.
I mean, that's my favorite part. It's definitely one of the most expensive parts to make.
Sure.
But that would explain why it took so long. I don't know. To me, it seems weird to expand the story, because then just make another Mortal Kombat. Like you could easily make Mortal Kombat into a style of games like they did with Killer Instinct, where you put out one version of the game and you just keep adding characters and characters and characters and making the game more deep and awesome and wonderful. But I'd go to Mortal Kombat for the story. So like that's how you keep getting people to buy this huge box game. So yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know what the plan is here. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. We're gonna be finding out all sorts of things this week. We get that tomorrow. We get Microsoft on Thursday.
Yep. It's a great time.
It'd be interesting. I mean, I'm announcing this so close to Microsoft. Will we get to see the what's it called, smart release or whatever?
Ooh, that is a good idea. And then with that smart release, you actually add the story DLC tied to it, like as just another incentive to, unlock this or buy a new version of MK11. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna look so realistic. We're all throwing up just watching it.
That's the thing. As they keep, working on the engine, which they're always going that more realistic route. Eventually, and very soon, if they're not already there, it's super realistic and super gross, because it is so. You've seen people screaming and like being disemboweled. It's like, it's kind of rough. It's awesome still, but it's like, how do you toe that line?
Well, and it reminds me of like what people are saying about with Doom Eternal is basically they made it slapstick so it becomes tolerable. No one's really that grossed out by the stuff
Right.
in Doom Eternal, but they found a way to do that.
Right. But that means changing their whole style with like with the whole Mortal Kombat universe as they built it. But yeah, I mean, I trust them to balance
Who is
that.
it
But
anymore? That's not getting them. I don't feel necessarily that's getting them butts and seats anymore.
sure,
But
gotcha. Well, speaking of Doom,
but
there's some Doom drama. I don't know if you got to see this unfold. Not really drama, just weirdness, I guess. But this is the Doom Eternal soundtrack had some drama. I pulled up a tweet from at Nibelian. He kind of lays out all the issues. So id Software's Marty Stratton has just published a lengthy statement on the Doom Eternal original soundtrack situation, and Mick Gordon, who's the soundtrack engineer, id is currently working on new DLC that will not include music by Mick. It also sounds like they might not work with him in the future, and there's a link to the Reddit post. But over the last week, they went into detail. It did about them working with that soundtrack engineer, and he did all the music in the last game. He was doing the music in the new one. The issue was he was making music for the game, but they needed the actual soundtrack to release too, and there was issues with like getting that on time. And he said, she said kind of stuff, and it ended up causing that relationship to fall apart. So this next going forward, they're not going to work with him anymore. Tied to that, they at least announced that they're working on DLC, and the music for that DLC is somebody else is going to do that DLC. But yeah.
I'm confused, and I'm sure I don't have full context, but so it sounds like he's working on the soundtrack for the game,
Yeah.
but they needed the OST to come out at the same time of the game. So it sounds like he was late on getting the OST out because he's working on the game.
Right.
Is that kind of
It is, but I guess that Reddit document that they wrote really lays it out where that is the case, and they contracted him to do that. But there was like they weren't communicating well, and they were giving him all this time to work on it, and apparently he kept like not pushing it off, but there was like just decisions that weren't met or weren't made equally, and he decided to kind of not pull out, but like just not help on that side of things. And because of that, which they were fine, they were prepared to pay him no matter what. But I guess he also went online, that studio producer, and kind of threw him under the bus a little bit. And so they had to actually come out and say, here's what happened, here's why it happened. And both parties amicably, decided to split. But it was just kind of this weirdness. And it sucks because that soundtrack designer, that the guy doing the music, is super awesome. And like the music in the first Doom is legit. The music in the second one is awesome because of him. So it sucks to lose that.
I mean, to me, and maybe this is an immature way of looking at it, but it sounds like they tried to rush art.
It's
Know what I mean?
possible. They in that lengthy Reddit post, I recommend reading because like they talk about how they want to give him, and they give him full creative control to do whatever he wants. He just has to supply something, and they trust him to do that. So apparently it wasn't only that, it was stuff not being met and him not communicating accurately. And then they had another guy doing the actual mixing, and he was ready to like take over the work, and they disagreed on how the work turned out. It's a lot of back and forth, but yeah, so it ended up being he's no longer working with them after this whole thing. So yeah.
Well, that's too bad. It was
It is.
a kick-ass soundtrack.
Yeah,
But sounds like drama happened, and maybe it's for the best.
it's
Maybe
possible.
maybe that's for the
How else are we gonna get our pentagram, designs hidden in the music art or like the waveforms? Like, hopefully somebody else is gonna do that.
somebody gots to. But I wonder if he did that for number 2. I mean, I feel like he might as well at that point.
Right. Maybe you can
Uh,
play Doom in the waveform that you can actually unlock that somehow. It actually works in the in the audio data. You can actually just unlock original Doom because it works on everything apparently. So I wouldn't doubt it.
yeah.
But yeah,
So,
Gavin,
well,
that's all we got for this week. Yeah, any exciting plans going on?
exciting plans. I don't think so.
Any games you're looking to jump into?
Man, I want to jump into that. I've been watching a fair amount of Gears, the tactics game, and
Mm,
it's been, man, is it just fun to watch. It really, it feels like Gears with some tactics sprinkled on it. I think they did a phenomenal job, and yeah, power to them.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm playing this weekend. Well,
You know what I
that
was
one.
jumping into very lightly was Resistance 3. It's on PlayStation Now, that streaming service. And I never played the Resistance game, so I'm just kind of barely starting it. but it's super dope, and I'm surprised I'd never really tried them before. But like the third one is the one that I heard way more acclaim for, so I started with that one, and it's very much like a not Bioshock in nature, but like gameplay, but like the way they build this, the environment is a lot like that. It's really cool, and I'm surprised I didn't jump on earlier.
Yeah. One thing we actually didn't talk about, a game that came out that's absolutely gorgeous, Streets of Rage 4.
Oh yeah, nice.
See this looker of a game. It is. They talk about some of the technology behind it. It's really impressive. I do find it funny that they can't show like puddles on two different like levels at the same time. They have to like put them far enough apart because it breaks that effect, which
Oh
is
really?
like it's 2020, but I mean, I'm sure if they really need to, they'd find a way to do it. But yeah, it's just whew,
I'm
that
looking at
game's a looker.
footage. It's incredible. Yeah, like I love this cartoony style. I grew up really loving the Streets of Rage original games. Like really the first one was what did it for me. But I know Streets of Rage 2 apparently is like super amazing. But I love playing the first one, grabbing the stuff off the street, grabbing the turkey that somebody left, in a garbage can and eating that. Dismantling a phone booth, like grabbing pipes. I love that idea. And it definitely looks like more like Street Fighter versus Capcom kind of like style of speed with what's going on, but like on a different scale. But
Yeah, it seems to kind of have that. And I was watching somebody play, and they were playing with a fight stick, and it definitely sounds like you're watching somebody play a fighting game. So
ah, yeah, and I'm not sure. I assume this is on all platforms, like at least Steam and like console and stuff. But yeah, if this isn't too much, I would actually like to jump in.
I wonder if it's on Switch.
Ooh, on Switch would be dope. This almost seems. I wonder if you lose some of the frame rate, if you play on Switch, but otherwise, I think it can handle it.
I don't think it's terribly demanding. I'm sure it's got. Yep, it's on Switch.
Nice.
Yeah, I think the only tough thing you're really gonna have to deal with is those are extremely high resolution images, and there's gonna be a lot of frames. That being said, that's pretty manageable. You're managing a lot rougher stuff in a lot of 3D games. Like you look at how much shit's packed on the screen in Breath of the Wild. Like, yeah, those are lower resolution textures, but
Sure.
so
Or you got The Witcher somehow works on there too. Doom.
yeah, fucking yeah. If you can run Witcher and Doom on there, then this is fine. And they even said it was extremely optimized. They're unloading and loading stuff plenty.
Gotcha.
So,
Nice. Yeah. Can't wait to play that.
there we go.
Nice, man. So yeah, we'll end it there. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Devs. I don't post.
Gotcha. And you can find us on Plastic Art Pod on Twitter as well. That's it for us this week. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.